Hey comic lovers, welcome back to the channel. EMoney and the old man back with you again with another review of comic books, this time for the week of January 27th. So we have a couple issues to show you today. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on your notifications, give us a thumbs up, and if you like, give us a comment. All right, so how many issues we got today, old man?
Let's see, I think we got 10 total.
10 total. All right. Before we get into that, sorry, almost forgot. Don't forget to check out all the other content we have going on the channel. We have our back issues with EMoney and the Old Man. We just finished the History of Comics, the Silver Age Part 1. So you can check that out now. Next week, obviously, we are doing the Silver Age Part 2. We had so much to cover on that, we had to divide it up into 2 parts. Also, check out our reaction videos. Right now we're doing WandaVision. We're
Good
going
stuff.
to be...
Good stuff.
Yeah, we got a new episode later this week, so be sure to check out WandaVision and then come back to our channel and check us out. All right, so now let's get into it.
All right, first comic book we're going to talk about was Future State Aquaman. This is number 1, has a $3.99 cover price.
All right, so we have a new Aquaman in Future State, like so many characters in Future State. And also we have a Aqua Lass.
Aquawoman.
Not Aqua Lad, but Aqua Lass. So we see them developing their partnership in this issue. And also, as the story goes on, we kind of see that they sort of become a Doctor Who team in the story, which, you know, if you read the issue and, you know Doctor Who, you'll understand what I mean there.
Well, let's face it, anybody who's watching this channel, there's at least a 50-50 chance
Fair
to
chance,
watch Doctor Who.
And we see them, work out how... Also, we kind of see them working out their powers, because I guess being young, they don't know what they can do just yet. So that's kind of interesting to figure out. And I'm also interested to see where the story goes. So I gave it a 3 for story and artwork being solid. I also gave a 3.
Let me jump in our scoring. We grade on a 5 shield system. 3 is just average. And you're probably going to notice that EMoney and the Old Man grade things very close to the same a lot of the times. Just so you know, the Old Man reads the comics and grades them. EMoney reads them and he grades them. We don't look at what each other do. Then we put them together. Mm-hmm. So the fact that we grade the same just mean like minds, all that stuff. Anyway, I pretty much agree with you. I gave it 3 for the story, 3 for the artwork. It's hard for me to score an Aquaman story very high if it's not Jason Momoa, because I don't.
I mean, this guy's closer to looking like Jason Momoa than your classic Aquaman.
Looking like him doesn't make him. But at any rate, thank you, Jason, for your work, because you saved Aquaman for me. But at any rate, so that comic averaged out to 3 shields. And next
up we have
Future State, Batman Superman, number 1. And this also has a $3.99 cover.
All right, so we're back in Gotham for Future State, which is a sort of a dystopian society with the magistrate ruling over Gotham, and masks are outlawed.
It's a hellhole.
Yeah. And Superman discovers a drug that is being used by citizens in Metropolis, which causes him to follow it back to Gotham, which is where he meets up with his old buddy Batman. Now, one thing I really appreciated about this is that you see right here, you see a classic Superman suit, which you don't see a lot of in modern comics. You see a, updated New 52 or DC Rebirth take on it, where he's not wearing the, the red underwear anymore. It's more of a, solid blue in most places, besides the cape and the boots.
So you like those red whitey tighties?
Yeah, because it's classic.
It is.
And Batman also fairly classic here in his suit. I mean, everything except the bright yellow emblem on it. So
which I always thought was stupid anyway.
The reason I don't rate the artwork higher is because the faces looked a little off. So story wise, I am interested to see what happens next. Usually a Batman Superman team up is fun stuff, and so I gave the story a 4. Artwork I gave a 3, despite having the cool costumes. Like I said, the faces were a bit off.
Well, second book in a row, we scored identical. I gave the story a 4. I thought it was very interesting. I've always liked the Batman Superman stories, whether it's World's Finest or Batman Superman. I've always liked those. Artwork, it was okay. It didn't take away from the story, and some of the faces looked pretty good. I agree that some of them, especially if it wasn't a close-up,
Yeah.
didn't have the detail that even a further away shot should have had. But it was enjoyable. I liked it, so I gave it 4 and 3. And this comic averaged out to 3.5 shields.
All right.
All right, next up, we have Future State Dark Detective number 2. We opted for the cardboard stock cover, and this one had a $6.99 cover price, and there's 2 stories.
All right. So in this story, back in Gotham again, and we see a Batman running from the magistrate, and him, trying to figure out how to bring them down. Also, we see a bit of a flashback as to how he fooled the magistrate earlier on, which was kind of interesting. Artwork. The guy obviously takes inspiration. I think it's obvious that he takes inspiration from Jim Lee, which is cool because the Batman looks like a Jim Lee Batman.
Well, that's the only thing in the artwork that I thought looked like
Right.
Jim Lee.
Which
Just
is
Batman, and especially Batman's face.
Yeah, which is why it didn't rank higher, because again the faces, the other people's faces, it's sort of lacking in detail. So storyline wise, I gave a 4. Artwork got a 3.
And we tied again. I gave it a 4 for the story, which I thought was very interesting. Of course, I enjoy Batman stories probably more than any other DC stories. 3, the artwork was a good solid 3. If we gave quarter shields, I would have given it 3 1/4.
Okay.
We don't do that. So that story averaged out to 3.5 shields. Now, the Red Hood story.
Next up is same dystopian society. It's the Red Hood in this story, and he is actually working for the magistrate to bring in other vigilantes and masks. Which, if anybody would be rebelling against the magistrate, you would think it would be the Red Hood. Also, his partner, sometimes partner, is a female Deathstroke, and she's much more violent than Red Hood is, if you can believe that. Story was okay. I'm kind of interested to see where this goes and what they're doing with it, but I was turned off by the artwork. It's lacking in detail. It's like it's almost like the artist had a deadline to meet and he started late and he just skipped a lot of details on it. The female Deathstroke's face, it's so plain. It's almost cartoonish.
At first, I thought she was wearing a mask.
Right.
That was the mask, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
So distracting a little bit from the artwork, which is why I gave the artwork a 2 and the story was a 3.
And once again, we tied. I thought the story was okay at best. Artwork was substandard. I just didn't really care for it. So the backup story in Dark Detective number 2 averaged out to 2.5 shields, which everything in the comic averaged together came out to 3 shields. All right. Next up. Legion of Superheroes number 1 with a $3.99 cover price, also a Future State comic.
All right, so in this issue we have a futuristic Legion of Superheroes. Futuristic from the regular futuristic Legion of Superheroes. And the team that we knew has sort of disbanded, and a few members are trying to get the band back together in order to take on a new threat, I guess. And you know what? That's about all I'm going to say about this issue because I couldn't get through it fast enough. I pretty much checked out after page 2, and I was just going through the motions. Storyline wise, boring, convoluted, confusing, and artwork was just bleh. I gave this issue a 1 and a 1.
Well, we finally disagreed, but only slightly. I am a huge Legion of Superheroes fan. I have been reading the Legion since they were formed in Adventure Comics back in the 60s. I remember when Superboy joined. I mean, I remember when it was just the 3 characters were the Legion. Cosmic Boy, Lightning Lad, and Saturn Girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I followed to where they numbered in the hundreds. And my favorite run was probably when Mike Grell was doing the artwork. Thought that was fantastic. But once again, the old man likes teen books. But this, I was looking forward to another Legion story. Oh, I was disappointed.
Yep.
The artwork, there were many panels that I'd have to study the panel to try and figure out what the artist was trying to make me see.
Not trying very hard.
Well, I don't know. It was pretty bad. The story, I think because I'm more familiar with the Legion characters, I won't say I enjoyed it more than you did, but I was able to follow it better than you did. I mean, there was a lot of old characters showing up that I'm familiar with. But yeah, I only gave it a 2 for the story. So averaged out between the two of us, Legion of Superheroes Future State, 1.5 shields.
I think that's the lowest score we've ever given a...
Since we've been doing this these last few weeks, that's our lowest score.
All right, so...
All right, let's move on. Get that out of our heads. All right, so now we have Future State Suicide Squad, number 1. This had a $5.99 cover price, and there's 2 stories.
So in this issue, we are introduced to a Justice Squad that has been formed, and basically these people are masquerading as your classic Justice League people: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, but they're not. They are not these people, and we quickly learn they are much more brutal than the heroes that we know, and we see where they come from, and what their motivation is, and as the reader, you probably don't like it.
Well, if you know anything about the Suicide Squad, you know what their motivation is.
Mm-hmm. So on the first story, I thought it was pretty good. I am interested. They give you a little shock value in one panel, and I'm interested to see what comes next. Last panel definitely interested. So I gave it a 3. Artwork, solid. I gave it also a 3.
All right, now what we disagreed on. I enjoyed the story. I thought it was very good. I've always liked all the variations of the League. What is there, a League of Injustice? Isn't that
Injustice League, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. There's been several versions of the League, and I've pretty much enjoyed all of them. I enjoyed the Suicide version of the League. Thought it was great. So I gave it 4 stars on the story. Didn't really care for the artwork. I probably still had a little bit of this in my head, and didn't score it very high. I only gave it a 2 for the artwork. Still, the first story averaged out to 3 shields.
All right, so on to the next story. And I've said before that backup stories, if they're not good enough that they couldn't be in their own issue on the cover, then maybe they shouldn't be on any issue, because so many times when we score these things, the backup stories bring down the whole issue. So if they're not good enough to be on their own, they shouldn't be around at all. So not the case here.
A pleasant surprise?
Yes. This is a futuristic, well, I mean, it says Black Adam, but it's also a Justice League story. We see a futuristic Justice League come under attack from this new threat, or ancient threat, depending on how you look at it. And they're outmanned and outgunned, and
they're getting their butts kicked.
Yeah, so they go to an old, I'm not really sure what label to put on Black Adam, frenemy, for help, and he, brings them into his planet and offers what help he can. So then we see in the last panel, this last panel, I mean, I don't know who this character is from Future State. She's sort of a mix between two classic characters. And even if I knew who she was, in this situation, in this issue, it's like, okay, this is the last person I expected to show up. So that was sort of interesting, sort of funny in a way. So story-wise, I gave a 3. Artwork, again, pretty good stuff. I also gave a 3 too.
Well, I've never been a huge Black Adam fan unless he's dealing in with Captain Marvel or Shazam. Boy, I hate saying that. But at any rate, so I thought the story was, it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. I like the artwork better than you. I gave it 4. I keep saying stars, but we're calling them shields, 4 shields. So the backup story averaged out to 3.5 shields. Overall, the comic was a strong 3 shields.
Okay.
All right, and our last Future State book this week is Future State Superman versus Imperious Lex #1 with a $3.99 cover price.
All right, so in this issue, we see that Earth is sort of a utopia, for a bit of a change-up. It has joined a sort of a United Federation of Planets sort of organization. And, Superman, Lois, both a little older now. And Lex has left Earth. He left Earth a while ago, and he built his own planet, or built his own society on a new planet. And, we see he's the, I think they call him the proprietor, something like that. And he is... Benefactor, that's it. Sorry. Benefactor, and he sort of runs it as a king or maybe even a god. Because these people, they don't know anything else. They only know Lex and what Lex's media tells them. But, Lex ruling his own planet, that might be fine. Except how he keeps his planet going.
Yeah, not cool.
Yeah. So, Superman catches word of what he's been doing on other planets, and he has to put a stop to it, naturally. So, Lex doesn't like that, and we kind of go from there. So, when I looked at this cover, I thought, okay, this is going to be boring. But no, actually, it was pretty interesting. It kind of brings up some ethical dilemmas in the story about what, you would do or should do in these situations. So that was sort of interesting, and it doesn't lack for action. Pretty good fight in about the middle here. So I gave it a 3 for story, artwork, good stuff. I also gave a 3 too.
Well, we tied again on this one. I, over the years, have gotten tired of the 3 main Superman stories, which is some sort of kryptonite situation. You can't let Lois find out who he is, and that dastardly Lex Luthor. I mean, those were the 3 stories in the 60s, or some variation of those 3 stories. And I burnt out on it. I got tired of Lex. This is a little bit new slant. Most of the Future State books are 2 issues. This is going to run for 4, so they have a lot of time to flesh the story out. I'm curious, I admit, but we'll see. I gave it the same 3 and 3 that you gave it, so obviously that particular comic averaged out to 3 stars.
All right, so that does Shields. That does it for the Future State books. So now we're moving on to other issues. So first up, we have our only independent comic book for this week.
Now, this one is called Dead End Kids, The Suburban Job. Now, there's another, maybe more than another, Dead End Kids story. This is put out by Source Point Press, a little independent company that I don't know anything about. And I like to experiment with something that's not Marvel, DC, or Image. Let's face it. Spread it out a little bit, see what's going on. This one, the cover price is $3.99.
All right, so in this issue, it starts off with some kids, and it's the morning of 9/11. So that's where the story takes off, and then it flash forwards to 7 years later, and so the kids who were kids at 9/11 are now in high school, teenagers, and we see people from different ethnicities, different lives, and seeing what their lives are like and what the state of the world is. And you know what? I just didn't really care for this story that much. I mean, when I read a comic book, this isn't the sort of thing I really want to hear about and read about. I want to be entertained, and this is sort of I guess a character study more. So I didn't really care for it. So 2, and artwork, was a bit lazy and a bit plain. So I ended up giving the artwork also a 2.
All right, this is one of the ones we just pretty much totally disagree on. There's 3 main characters. They spend most of this issue giving us background on them so that you actually care about these 3 people. What I assume the rest of the story is going to be about doesn't really even, it shows up in the first few pages, and then it shows up in the last page or 2. What are these 3 going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I've asked myself the same question. If I were in that situation, what would I do? And I still don't know. But I find it to be intriguing. Artwork is very similar to a lot of non-superhero comics. It's not bad. It reminds me a little bit of the artwork in The Walking Dead. It's okay. It's not a comic you buy for the artwork, but it does tell the story. So I gave it a 3 and a 3, which this comic averaged out to 2.5 shields.
All right, so moving on to our first Marvel issue this week.
And this week we have 3 Marvel issues to go over. First is Daredevil, number 26. It has a $3.99 cover price. We did pick up the variant edition. Now this is a King in Black crossover or story arc. And keep in mind, I'm not a fan of the King in Black stuff. I've not really been enjoying it. But I am a Daredevil fan. I've enjoyed the Daredevil stories over the years. And we haven't read any Daredevil lately, so I figured, what the heck? Let's touch base with Matt and see what he's up to.
All right, so in this issue, Matt, or rather Daredevil, is in prison. They let him keep his mask serving out his prison sentence, which I don't know how that works. I mean, any vigilante, if Batman were arrested, do you think they wouldn't take the mask off and see that he's Bruce Wayne?
Well, they'd better, because he's probably got 15 different technologies in that mask to help him get out.
Right. I mean, I just don't see how that happens. So, Matt is in prison, and Elektra is Daredevil. And
now, that actually happened the last issue. And I wanted to get that issue to review it, but that comic sold out the first 2 hours it hit the racks because nobody knew it was going to be a key issue, but it is.
Yeah. So, starting this issue off, you'd think it would be just your average Daredevil episode or Daredevil issue, but then the state of the Marvel universe at this time reveals itself with the symbiotes attacking. So we see how Matt and Elektra and also Wilson Fisk, Kingpin, handle the situation when the symbiotes attacked New York. And I was intrigued by it. I thought it was good stuff. Seeing, Matt in prison when the symbiotes are attacking, and Elektra out on the streets. So I was pretty well entertained by this. So I gave the story a 4. Artwork solid. I gave a 3-2.
Another one we disagreed on. I don't like the King in Black storyline. I gave the story still 3 shields. I mean, it's okay. And I don't like most of the drawings of any symbiote in any comic. It reminds me of the old Warlock character in New Mutants, drawn by Sienkiewicz, where it's just a big cluster, everything going everywhere. So didn't really care if the artwork, gave it 2. Overall, this comic still scored 3 shields. Now, next up, we have Alex Ross's Marvel. Years ago, there was a Marvel title that Alex Ross was involved with, but did not have much creative control over. And it was okay. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. He did a lot of art in it. The current Marvel, I'm pretty sure he has almost absolute creative control. Unfortunately, he doesn't draw, but like a couple of pages in it. He doesn't draw anything so far as the actual 3 stories. He draws like an introduction and an epilogue. This is a cover that he did. We picked up the cardstock variant that has a bunch of Rob Liefeld characters on it, which I couldn't help but be intrigued by. But anyway, 3 stories, $4.99 cover price.
All right, so it starts off with a classic Marvel character that you might not be familiar with, the Ghost Rider. Not the Ghost Rider most of you know. He was a Western character who glowed white to look like a ghost.
He was not a spirit of vengeance. He was a cowboy who discovered a phosphorus stuff in a cave and would put it all over his costume, and he would go out and capture evildoers.
Mm-hmm. So it starts off in 1879 when the Ghost Rider encounters a gang of deviants, these strange creatures, and they tell him that they are Legion. So that was cool, but then we flash forward to the modern era, and by now the deviants have pretty much taken over Earth, and humans are, if not slaves, then subclass citizens. And the superheroes that we know are either bodyguards or entertainment for the deviants. And the artwork was, I enjoyed. I mean, it was, I think it was inspired by Alex Ross. So, and also the different takes on our classic superheroes was interesting. So, where am I? Okay, the story I gave a 3. No, I'm sorry. That's I gave a 2. Didn't care for it after the Ghost Rider. I thought it was it got kind of boring after that. So I gave it 2. Artwork, because the guy is taking his cue from Alex Ross, I gave a 4.
All right, once again, we disagreed. I thought the story was solid, especially the stuff about gladiators. I thought that was interesting. Artwork, I don't care who his influences were. He's no Alex Ross. So I only gave 2 to the artwork. Still, this story averaged out to 3 shields. All right, next story was Where Monsters Smell, which is an absolute parody of Where Monsters Dwell and of all the old Kirby Ditko stuff that we actually talked about in the last back issues.
So it's sort of a fourth wall breaking, self-aware story where all these different Atomic Age and Silver Age creatures are attacking all at once, and it's up to the mysterious Dr. Dr. Droom to stop the creatures. So all these different creatures are attacking, and by the end of it, we see why they are doing it, and it's sort of funny their self awareness of what they are, and Dr. Drew also is informed of his significance. So you have to read the story to see what I mean. It's sort of funny. So the story I gave a 3 to. Artwork, I mean, I know it's supposed to be a parody of classic artwork, but it was, I don't know, it was sort of off for me, so I gave it a 2.
And once again, we disagreed. I thought, keep in mind, I don't really care for parodies that much, but this one was perfect, especially since we just talked about a lot of this stuff in the last episode of Back Issues. I gave the story a 4. It was fun to see all those Ditko and Kirby characters parodied. Artwork, because the art was even a parody of those two guys, I gave it a 3. So, averaged out, 3 shields for that story. And the third story was I Am a Revolting Development.
Yeah, okay, so this follows Ben Grimm, and basically it's just a retelling of his origin story. It tells you, how he was in school and how he was in college before he met Reed, and then, him meeting Reed, and, what happened with the cosmic rays and becoming the Thing. And you know what? I mean, we didn't need to hear this story. We know this story. Like, everybody knows this story. I mean, we've heard it a million times. Artwork, I mean, I guess they're trying to, set a tone here, but I didn't really care for it. So, story, heard it a million times. I gave it a 2, and artwork, I also gave a 2 too.
Well, to me, the story was just pretty much how Ben Grimm feels about himself. He has origins in there, but that's not what it's really about. But I still found it kind of boring and only gave it 2 shields. Artwork, I didn't care for it either, so on this one we agreed 2 shields for artwork.
It's just one of those stories where it just feels like filler.
Yeah. So we averaged out for this story 2 shields. The comic itself, a very disappointing 2.5 shields.
Mm-hmm.
And our last comic to talk about is Wolverine number 9. Now, we have not been reading Wolverine, but I had heard what this one was about, and I thought it was intriguing. So just like with Daredevil, I wanted to stop in and check on a character. We're going to stop in and check on Wolverine, and this was a $3.99 cover price.
All right, so in this issue, Logan has infiltrated a underground auction house. And what this auction house does, it auctions off nefarious, illegal items. And like, just to give you an example of something they do, like they have items from famous heroes or villains. Just to give you one without giving too much away, they were auctioning off the cyanide tooth of Black Widow. So they have all these different items, which if I were a sketchy millionaire, I probably might put in a bid or 2 on these things. But their key item, their big item, is the thing that brought Logan in here, and he wants to liberate that item, you would say. So I thought it was interesting, and seeing Wolverine in this situation. So I gave the story a 4, and artwork, it might be a low 3, but it's still a 3. So kept the score higher for that.
All right, so another one we disagree. I thought the story was just average. I was a little disappointed. I expected to see more artifacts show up, but there was only like 8.
Yeah.
I wanted whole panels with nothing but different artifacts. Didn't get what I wanted. Artwork, I thought you thought it was a low 3. I guess I thought it was a high 2.
Okay.
So it averaged out 3 shields. So that's all the ones we're going to review.
All right, so
Now
how
let's
about
do the top three?
our top three? All right, so interesting top three this week in that they were all future states. How about that?
First time that's happened.
Mm-hmm. All right, so number 3 was future state Dark Detective. See, right there, and came in at a 3.0. So next up was a Suicide Squad. Now, it was a 3.0, but if you really do the math, it comes out to a 3.125.
So we rounded it down. It was a 3, but when we went back with all these comics that tied at 3 shields, we looked at the actual math, and it beat out a lot of the other ones.
Yep. All right, so that brings us to our number 1, which was a 3.5, which was the future state Batman versus Superman. So Batman kind of dominates the top 3 this week.
I want our number 1 to be a 4.5, something strong.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's a lot of comics coming out next week.
Mm-hmm. All right, so there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and hope we help you make some choices next time you go to the comic book store. What to buy, what not to buy. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you like what we do, and check out our
if they don't like what we do and they subscribe anyway, that's okay.
yeah. And hope you guys check out all the videos we already have on the channel, and check out our future videos coming out later this week and next week.
And give us a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Excelsior.
True believers, I don't think you're reading enough comic books.